correct. If you repeat it, it's not a mistake. Most time.
Most times.
Most of the times.
Unless you're making a mistake twice.
Yeah, right.
All right, let me hear you again one more time, Bob.
Testing 1, 2. Thank you very much.
Okay.
So is this live
If
or
you can
are you
scoot up a
recording
little
this?
bit more, Bobby,
Recording.
can you scoot up just a
Recording.
little bit closer?
Yeah.
All right, there you go.
All right. Testing
Yeah,
1, 2.
that's good.
All righty.
I think we're going to be all right with that.
No, they're gonna record it.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we play right after the show. Vince,
Cool.
Vince
Yeah.
will get into
Okay.
how the whole show breaks down.
Yeah. Yeah, the Jazz Live is actually a 2-hour show.
Oh, it is.
8 to 9:30 live performance,
Okay.
9:30 to 9:45 is this interview
Right.
that we're doing here, and then 9:45 to 10 is a live preview. I'm back in studio here
Oh, okay.
of the next
The next
weeks.
thing.
Yeah, the next month's Jazz
Cool.
Live. So
Oh, okay.
that's kind of that's the broad strokes of Jazz Live. All right.
So whenever you're ready.
Oh, my mic is good?
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, okay, great. We're here at Jazz Live San Diego with Bobby Watson and John Reynolds of the San Diego School of Creative and Performing Arts. Welcome, Bobby and John.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Vince.
Thanks.
So, Bobby, let's start off and talk about your your current release, the check cashing day from your I Have a Dream project.
Yes.
Jazz Times said the veteran alto saxophonist's new album, celebrating the 50th anniversary of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech, simultaneously chides society for the many ways in which that dream remains deferred. What were you originally trying to accomplish with this project?
I was trying to take a broader, more comprehensive approach than just using the I Have a Dream part, because that's what they use every year during his birthday, and then that's the most famous part of the speech, which was actually not part of the speech. It was spontaneous, and he had done, and it turns out he had done it about 10 times before, that part, and he did it a month before in Detroit. But the speech he delivered is about 80% of the speech that we never get to read.
Right.
So I wanted to focus on that, so it wouldn't be such a cliche type of thing. And, because the I Have a Dream part is iconic. It's part of like the Gettysburg Address and the great speeches of the 20th century. So I was trying to take a deeper approach and reflect on it 50 years after the march. And so I used a poet, a younger poet, and to let him reflect on what he's thinking, and just try to give a fresh idea on it.
Mhm. Was the music, so I know that this was music that you then had words written to, but is that how it actually worked out, or was it a more collaborative thing, or had you written the music and then kind of added the poetry part to it?
Some of the music I had written and had the poetry added to, and then some of the songs were like Dark Days and 40 Acres and a Mule. I'd recorded those earlier on earlier recordings, and Dark Days I'd written that during the apartheid era, and I saw in the Herald Tribune a picture of two men carrying a little casket, of some child that had gotten killed in the struggle, and 40 Acres and a Mule, I wrote that. I recorded it on Blue Note years ago, and that relates to the promise that the freed slaves were supposed to get 40 acres and a mule, and a lot of people did get their 40 acres and a mule. Elvis, Johnny Cash's father, that's how he was a homesteader, and he got 40 acres and a mule. That's how they started.
Mm-hmm.
So that's sort of a thing. But today, I think that translates into education and a level playing field for education, so that that's your 40 acres and a mule, is a quality education. So a lot of it's metaphoric, not literal.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a great segue, and thank you for making that segue, as we're here on a day when you're performing with some students of jazz at the San Diego School of Creative and Performing Arts. But so what role in general do you think that music and music education has in actually getting that check cashed that hasn't been cashed?
Oh, the arts are a big part of the uncashed check, In fact, it went, in many cities, it almost doesn't exist, public school. And I started in school, in public band, in fourth grade, and I have friendships. You have friendships that last a lifetime in band, in high school band, even if you don't go on to be a musician, And when I was growing up, the athletes were in the band, we had all kinds of folks in the band, that weren't aspiring to be a musician like I was, but our buddies were in the band, they were in business or something, and everybody played an instrument, and I think it helps the world, they have music. I mean, every politician, when they run for office, they have a theme song, when they come out before they speak, they got some music going, and it brings them out, and so it must be important, but when they get elected to office, down on the arts, but they use it when they're, music is vital, and so it's just, the jazz part of it just gives it a more of a worldly language, approach, because we go all over the world playing this music.
Well, so John, let's bring you in, and again, welcome today to Jazz Live San Diego.
Sure, thank you.
So, tell us a little bit about the program at the San Diego School of Creative Performing Arts. You're the director of orchestral and jazz studies, I
Right.
believe. Tell us a little bit about the program there.
So, in terms of the music department, we've got 4 orchestras, 2 jazz ensembles, a jazz combo, full range of choirs, and then we also have a fully staffed musical theater department, a theater department, and a dance department as well. So it's a pretty comprehensive school in terms of all of the arts that are offered. Oh, and I should mention visual art as well. So.
So, and then this is a school as part of the San Diego City Unified
That's
School
correct.
District?
San Diego Unified School District, and this is a magnet arts school. So to get into the high school, there's actually a formal audition process that all the students have to go through.
And then how that would seem to be a much more focused approach to the arts than students in other high schools
Yes.
would get. Is there any interplay between the School of Creative and Performing Arts and the other schools as far as music programs go?
Well, this year has been an interesting year because our Performing Arts Center was actually shut down for construction all year. So it was good and bad. It was good in the sense that it forced us to get out into the community. We have a long-standing relationship with the San Diego Repertory Theater, and for the past, I believe, 5 summers or so, every production that they've done over the summer, they've used students from SCPA as part of their orchestra, as well as dancers and actors and that sort of thing. So, but this year in particular, we've been able to collaborate with Grossmont College. We did two orchestra works. We also had a collaboration with Point Loma Nazarene University, and then some other area local public schools as well.
So, Bobby, when you get the chance to do something like this and go to a school, I don't know exactly the other kind of things you've been doing with the school while you're here, and I know you're playing with them tonight. What is your approach to this type of an engagement with students at this high school level?
I think the first thing is to just to put them at ease. People do get nervous when I'm around. I had to face that,
I can't imagine.
I can't imagine either. It's just, but they do. So you got to get them at ease, let them crack a joke or something or whatever, get them smiling, and then get into the music, and then just start playing it, and try to just share with them the things I've learned that have made music come to life for me over the years, and just try to give them some of that, I mean, it's not much to say. John does such a wonderful job with the kids. So our rehearsal was pretty easy this morning, We just moved right on through the music because he has them very well prepared, and they follow his leadership very well. So, it depends on the level. This one was more, we talked more artistic things this morning, not really technical, and it was just more artistic and fine brush strokes.
Right. So, John, when
It's
you
cool.
get the opportunity to have your students sit in and be a part of an experience like this, what are you hoping for them to get out of it?
You know, when I was growing up, live performances were always the thing that kept me practicing, and to meet and collaborate with high caliber musicians is always an inspirational experience, much more so than I think just listening to a particular recording can be. Putting a face with a name, and then that name with other names with which you're familiar. Of course, in Bobby's case, you know, you've got such a long reputation dating back to Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers. You know, for a lot of these kids, Bobby, it was really because of Bobby that was their first encounter with Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers. So, you know, for the past 2 weeks, I've heard about the students going home and checking out their records or looking up YouTube or Spotify online. You know, all of those things that are really, I think, planting seeds for the next generation of jazz musicians. That's really my hope, is that the students will continue to stay inspired, take that inspiration home to the practice room, and then hopefully turn around and learn to give back to the musical community that they're part of.
They can watch me age 30 years in 30 minutes. And that's what I tell people. Go to YouTube. You can watch me age 30 years in 30 minutes.
Well, Bobby, I'd like to touch on something you know, that John said about his students going and listening to the music, and you know, finding something on YouTube and listening to it, or going to Spotify and listening to it. But you've also made a comment that in some ways that that method of listening is not optimum, because they're not getting all the information that they used to get off of liner notes and those kind of things. But what are your feelings about how students now you know, take in, or even just listeners take in music as opposed to how they used to?
I think that there's a lot of information out there for the young kids.
Mhm.
And I think that if someone is very curious about something, there's so many layers. You know, it was true what I was saying about, you know, if you download things and you just download stuff from iTunes and the Amazons and whatnot, you don't get the liner notes, and so you don't get the background story. But if a person is curious enough and hungry enough, there's certainly a wealth of information out there at their fingertips. You know, you could be up all night chasing information on the internet now, and I think it's a good thing. The main thing I try to tell the young folks is to slow down.
Mm.
Just take your time and slow down a little bit.
Mhm.
You know, and don't try to listen to so much. Just listen to a little bit. You could be listening to like 3 or 4 records or CDs or MP3s. I don't care what you call them nowadays. You know, and still be collecting. You know, and then put those on the back burner, so you're collecting. You know, it's like it's like collecting wine. You don't open all the bottles at once. You know, so when we were growing up, an album was like a bottle of wine. So I always had 3 or 4 unopened ones.
Mhm.
You know, and so it was this week I'm going to open this one. So try to put that in there, because the information is so depth. I mean, I get on the internet and next thing I know, the sun's coming up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Well, so John, one of the missions of Jazz 88 is a mission to promote jazz through education, and we have some programs like music collection programs, or Music Matters, and Jazz and American Art Form in some of the elementary schools. What are some of the things that jazz listeners and supporters of the arts can do to advance jazz education in some of the things that you're doing? Are there things that would really be helpful for you, for other people outside of education, to do to help?
Well, I would say get out and listen to the concerts first of all. You know, I'm a local area jazz musician, and I can't tell you how many times where I've been in just a great concert venue and there's just empty seats where there shouldn't be. So I think that's a big part of it, getting out, physically getting out and supporting the art form. But I think the other thing, I mean, if they're really interested in helping with jazz education, feel free to reach out to whomever the local jazz band director is at that school and say, hey, what do you need? Because, I mean, from my vantage point, we need everything from paper to print music on, to pencils, to music stands, to music folders. And I mean, I'm fairly resourceful, and I have a really good administration behind me, so a lot of those things I know can be remedied fairly quickly. But I mean, to be on this scale and have the privilege of being able to bring in a superb guest artist is a real rarity these days. And so I feel very fortunate to be where I am.
So Bobby, as we wrap up, can you tell us just a little bit about what the future holds? You've had your release, Check Cashing Day out there, and that's getting some great airplay. What other things are you working on in the future?
I like to do an album with strings, and I'd like to make a new recording with the 29th Street Sax Quartet. It's been a long time, and try to stay healthy and keep moving and keep playing and see what else comes to me. Writing big band charts and teaching at the school, and hopefully.
Fantastic. So, John, where can folks find out more about the San Diego School for Creative and Performing Arts?
Sure. If you go to sandy.net, that's SANDI.net/SCPA, like School of Creative and Performing Arts.
Excellent. And Bobby, you have a place where you connect up with people online?
BobbyWatson.com, and I'm also on Facebook, Bobby Watson. I have a fan page, and so I invite you all to like the fan page.
Excellent. Well, both of you, thank you so much for being with us, and thanks again for being here at Jazz Live San Diego.
My
My
pleasure.
pleasure. Thank you, Vince.
All right. Sounded good. Hey,